He's one of these, he automatically locks his doors. Me too. And they couldn't get in. And they've got no response.
That makes me, I'm going to take
Stuff we had written on that 3 minutes period at home and stuff. So,
That's you know, like 4 or 5 minutes.
yeah. Yeah.
So say it was only 4 days ago that he sent me a text that he's always calling me. He sent me a text saying, "Hope I go away to the hospital." He said, "You're a strong man." He's the one who gave me the nickname, Man's Light. It's in the nickname. The terrible sense of humor.
Yes,
good evening. Welcome to the City of Oxford Commissioners Board meeting, and it's 7 p.m. Tuesday, April 15, 2025. A reminder, please turn your cell phones, your electronic devices off, or turn it down with no ringtone. Thank you. As we do, we start a roll call. Commissioner Toby.
Yep.
Commissioner Bridges.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Present.
Commissioner McCoy. McCray. Geez, what's wrong with me today? Commissioner Brooks.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lumpkins.
Present.
Commissioner Bellis.
Here.
All members are present and accounted for. I want to ask Reverend Clarence Cooper, Cornerstone Christian Community Church, to lead us in prayer, which will be followed by a pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Curtis McCray.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here to standing in Bishop's bedstead on tonight, one of the associate pastors tonight. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come tonight, Lord, in Jesus' name. Father, we come that there be a meeting of the minds, Lord. You said in all of our ways, if we acknowledge you, that you would direct our paths. And so, Lord, we ask you tonight to be our lead and be our guide, Father God. We need you. The city needs you. Father, I lift up each city official, Lord God, represented tonight, our mayors. Father, we lift up the police department, fire department. We lift up the entire city of Oxford, North Carolina. And Lord God, help us to understand that even if we do not disagree, it's okay to agree to disagree. And we can do it orderly, and we can do it in a way that brings glory and honor to you. I'm just asking you, Lord Jesus, to rest upon the people of this city, rest upon our city officials. And at the end of the day, all that's said and done, let it glorify you, Lord God, that the city of Oxford is growing, and it shall be everything that you, Lord, want this city to be. I give you the praise. Thank you, the glory, and all of the honor. I want to do this one thing, Lord. We bind up every attack of the enemy, and no weapon that's formed against this city, nor its officials, will be allowed to prosper, nor its citizens, in Jesus' name. And all of those in agreement said, amen.
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 I would ask if you may stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will consider adjustments to and approval of tonight's agenda. Are there any adjustments? There's no adjustments to make. Thank you. Can I get a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried. To provide the highest standards of behavior and transparency in its governance, the Board of Commissioners has approved a code of ethics to establish guidelines for ethical standards for board members and to provide guidance in determining appropriate conduct. Among those board members who should avoid impropriety and in exercising their official duties and conduct affairs of the board openly and publicly. If any board member knows of a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict, please state so at this time. Let the record note there's no conflict of interest. I want to deviate a minute from our agenda. I want to ask a moment of silence in recognition of Voice for Washington, or planning board member, a distinguished citizen of this city that lived and stands for so many good things that surround us. Thank you. This time we've moved to the delegation process. We have Dr. Winburn from Graham County Schools, update by Superintendent Stan Winburn.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city manager, city attorney, and all those from the community in attendance today. Thank you for the invitation to come and speak with you. I'm very happy to be here. I have a brief presentation I'd like to share, but before I do that, I wanted to extend my appreciation to many of you who provide so much support for our school district in so many different ways. Mayor, I would like to publicly share and express my gratitude for all of your frequent visits since coming into office and your continuous outreach to our principals, our teachers, and our students. It's definitely noticed and appreciated. I know that many of your council members also regularly volunteer in our schools and support our students in many, many different ways. And I appreciate you all for everything that you do. And I know some of you are also parents or grandparents and aunts and uncles of our students. So thank you for that as well. It means a great deal. And I consider you all very important partners in making sure our schools are the best they can be. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Again, I just have a brief presentation to share. If you go to the next slide, please. I wanted to start just by touching on our, and I'm sorry, do I need a controller? Just say next.
No, just
Okay,
hold
yeah.
your finger on.
Okay,
these
that's
guys.
fine. Right. I wanted to start by making sure that you took note of a copy of our strategic plan that I gave a hard copy to each of you. Those that may be listening or in the public, this is also on our front page of our district website. This plan is not something that we just put on the shelf. This is our actual guiding document. It has 5 very important strategic priorities, and we are in the process of reviewing it right now and making improvements. I unveiled a brand new version of this when I came on as superintendent, and I'm in the process of accepting input from everyone in how to refresh and update this and keep things relevant. I've been doing full school day visits, listening to our students, all of our employees, and I've also been listening to parents as well. I'm going to be holding some community meetings and online sessions to seek input for this, but I want to kind of put a call out or an open invitation for input into the strategic plan. I think what the document you have there represents the input of hundreds, if not thousands of people over the past 5 years. I've been building on what was already in place from the previous administration. But I think we're on the right track, and we're headed, by all indications, in a very positive direction for our school district. Next slide, please. These, of course, are the 5 priorities. Our number 1 is safe and healthy campuses. Safe and healthy campuses. I'm going to talk a little bit about safety tonight because you all have been instrumental in helping us with this. Of course, we are an academic institution, so that is our primary mission. But if our buildings, our schools are not safe places for our children and our employees, then we cannot accomplish that goal. So that is far and away the number 1 priority for us, safety. Of course, we also need to value and respect our employees. We're doing very well in that regard. We have some of the lowest vacancy rates that we've had in many, many years. I'm happy to report the number of our teacher vacancies are in the single digits. 2 years ago, we were up around 50 or 60 teacher vacancies. So we've made tremendous progress in that area. Regarding financial responsibility, our Board of Education has made some tough decisions around school consolidation, which I know you're probably aware of. I'll give you a few updates on that as well. And that has provided tremendous relief financially for us and put us in a much better position moving forward. And then finally, number 5, it's important to keep our relationships strong. Next slide, please. So I mentioned your contributions, your help. I would like to thank your city manager for all the time he's given me, along with your chief. Lots of different conversations, meetings, discussions about your commitment to help us with our school resource officers. And I know while the contract, the ink has not been dried or nothing has been signed yet, I'm looking forward to the city of Oxford contributing a school resource officer to our district next year, and that would be an assignment at C.G. Cradle Elementary School. And I hope that partnership will continue to expand. I would like to have every single municipal law enforcement agency working with us. We already have Creedmoor Police Department and Butner Public Safety, as well as the sheriff, have all been very supportive. So I'm excited about Oxford rejoining in this effort, because you did for many, many years. I'd like to see that come back again. I think it's so important to have officers from the community serving in our schools. So that's wonderful, and I just want to thank you for that. We've got some big updates coming with our athletic facilities. I don't want to get ahead of myself and announce anything prematurely, but in the next year and a half, you're going to start to see some big projects coming in that respect. We are long overdue for some improvements, especially in our high schools. So stay tuned. This school consolidation has helped us out tremendously, and I think we're going to be in a great position to bring back some of the glory days that our high schools had. Again, I mentioned earlier your contributions for volunteering. I'd like to put another call out for that. We have a well-organized Reading Buddies program at West Oxford Elementary School. I know many of you come to that. C.G. Cradle also is always seeking volunteers and mentors. We have our Phoenix Academy here in Oxford, as well as Granville Academy, our blended virtual school, always looking for people to come and help, tutor, volunteer, chaperone. Our testing season is just around the corner, so if anyone you would like to come and help proctor during those tests, we welcome you to come and give your time. That's always a challenge. But really, it takes everyone, and we have an open call for you all to come and join us in this effort. Next slide. I mentioned school consolidation. This past fall, our Board of Ed did do some work around our secondary schools. We now, starting next school year, instead of 3 traditional high schools, we will have 2. South Granville High School and J.F. Webb High School will be our 2 anchor traditional high schools. I'm happy to report that this will result in J.F. Webb's attendance being over 800 students for next year, and South Granville's will be over 900 students for next year. The Granville Central High School was closed, but it will be converted to a new middle school to be called Granville Central Middle School. So we're going from 3 traditional middle schools to 2. Northern Granville Middle School will remain, but all the students that currently attend Butner STEM Butner STEM Middle School and GC Hawley Middle School will go to Granville Central Middle School, and it will remain the home of the Panthers. There'll be about 800 students at that school, and there'll be over 500 students at Northern Granville. Just one other bit of good news is that because Butner STEM Middle School, those students will be leaving, we're going to convert that much newer, nicer facility into an elementary school. So Butner STEM Elementary will relocate to the current campus of Butner STEM Middle School starting next year as well. So that will leave us with basically 2 surplus properties. What some of you may know as the old Creedmoor Elementary, which is currently GC Hawley, will be vacant, and the current Butner Elementary School will also be vacant. And we've been talking with our friends at the county to see if there's any ways we can collaborate with them or find ways for those municipalities to use those spaces. And there's some interesting conversations happening there. Next slide, please. As I referenced earlier, this is going to save our school district over $3 million every year moving forward. This is not a one-time savings. This is an annual recurring savings due to our increased efficiency in operating our facilities. We don't get funding from the state or the federal or even the local government based on the number of schools. We receive funding based on the number of children. And so you can imagine we need to have our schools as full as possible in order to use our money wisely. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. And we're also doing it in a way that will phase out some of our older campuses that are in need of tremendous deferred maintenance projects. But perhaps more importantly than the money, in my opinion, is the opportunities for our students. When you have larger schools, you can provide more opportunities for kids. It's as simple as that. We will be able to expand our course offerings, more advanced placement courses, more honors courses, more career and technical education courses. We'll have ROTC will be available to all of our students now in high school. Our athletic opportunities will expand. We can have junior varsity teams now. In addition, this move will benefit our middle school students because they will have nicer facilities in the southern end, finally. They'll be in a modern, state-of-the-art building where those students can take really interesting courses. And of course, it's also going to be more beneficial for our elementary students that are currently in a campus from the 1960s down at Butner Elementary. They'll be moving to a much more modern facility. So it's a win-win all the way around. I know that it's been a challenging and difficult process, though. We are, trying to make sure that we take care of all of our employees, that no one loses their job as a result of this consolidation. That's very important to me, and that we follow a fair process that's transparent and grounded in our board policy, and that it's fair to everyone. That's very, very important. I believe, next slide. I mentioned the surplus properties there, and I did want to also mention that, of course, I've had some conversations with your city manager about we still have some odd miscellaneous parcels in Oxford. The property that's currently being leased to the farmers market across from the police department is sort of an odd piece of property that we've talked about this too. That's our board is just interested in disposing any property that's not directly attached to a school. So happy to have conversations with you all if that's ever of interest. I believe there's also been past conversations about ways we can partner with the Mary Potter Center for Education campus. I've spoken with your recreation director about ways to open up that gym to the citizens of Oxford. I know that you're always looking for more space, so we're happy to explore those partnerships with you. Next slide. I believe that's it. Happy to answer any questions you may have or provide any clarifications that are needed.
Commissioner Bridges.
So, Superintendent,
Yes, sir.
with the larger number of students in schools, I guess when you close the school, you put those students into one school. I suspect that that has an effect on security.
Yes, sir.
And I was wondering how, with these schools having a larger number of students, how you're addressing the security issue.
Thank you very much for asking that. That's an excellent question. A couple of things. One, we plan on expanding the number of SROs that are assigned to each of our high schools. Right now we have 1. Next year we'll have 2 at each of our high schools. In addition, we are exploring, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to purchase a new weapons detection system for each of our high schools. Currently, we just use the walk-through traditional metal detectors, but it's hard to get the entire student body through there quickly. So we basically just do random screenings now. But these new systems, you just set up a couple of posts and children can just walk by it continuously, and it's scanning for, I guess, metal density, or uses AI too, but it's not cheap. But we got a grant. I'm looking for some additional funding, and I hope that we can put those systems at each of our high schools for starting with the start of the school year.
I know you said that your your teacher rate is low.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to, or will you be able to move all your teachers with the relocation without any loss?
That's my hope. That's been my goal all along. When we started this consolidation process back in November, we laid out a plan, a timeline for how this would work, and we used these rubrics, or I guess you can say point systems, to try to rank our employees, to help prioritize placement. This past March, I believe we're in the maybe 20 or 30 employees that had not been placed yet. That number is now down to 8. We have 8 staff members that don't have a position yet for next school year. But that next school year is still almost 4 months away. So I'm hoping that through attrition, people that retire or just through other circumstances move on, positions will open up and we'll be able to find a home for everyone.
Commissioner Toby.
How will this affect class sizes? I get worried sometimes, you know, when you're moving everybody in and the class sizes might get too big.
That's a great question. Actually, I anticipate that they will decrease because we will be more efficient. Our teaching allotments, the number of teachers that the state pays for, is based on our total student enrollment. And when I have to spread those out over multiple schools, you get situations where it's hard to offer small class sizes. So I mentioned earlier, we'll be able to offer more sections of advanced courses. Those typically have smaller numbers of students. So it should be an improvement in class size. I think it will go down.
Commissioner Velez.
I know you said something about staffing, on how the vacancies have gotten better.
Yes, sir.
And I was at your last meeting. I know there was a lot of objections of a hiring process that you guys are working on. A lot of people was calling it an unfair hiring process, or et cetera. How do you think that would affect your hiring process as far as your staff members with this whole transition? Or are you guys working on something different now?
Well, we are continuing to follow the process that we put in place. I believe it's very fair. I do realize that there are some people that have a different opinion about that, and they've expressed it. And I'm happy to have those conversations and share facts with people about it, verifiable information that we've been sharing in open meetings. But I stand by the process. I stand by the integrity of the process. And again, my goal is just to make sure that no one loses their livelihood in this process, and that every single one of our employees is treated fairly. And so far, the vast majority of our staff have felt they've been treated very, very well.
And I guess, do you think this new process, do you think it would eliminate certain staff members, or do you think it would, or it would help with the hiring process?
Well, it's my hope that the people that are paying close attention to this will understand and see the process that we've developed has been done in an open and transparent way. It's been shared publicly since November, which is the time when the board made the decision to consolidate. And you know, the decisions that we've made have not been made by individuals in a random way. These have been based in our board policies and with guidance with our legal counsel at every step of the way. And we've tried very, very hard to communicate with all of our staff frequently about how this process works.
And I guess the reason I'm asking is because I work like a government job, a state
Sure.
job, and I came into a certain hiring process, and I'm just wondering if this new hiring process would ruin it for the veteran employees, like the employees that have been with you guys for a long time, since they came in under a different hiring process, or would they be grandfathered in and this process would be a process that would just be addressed to new employees?
Well, if I understand your question correctly, there has not been any change in our hiring process. We follow the exact same process for hiring new employees that we always have. But the problem came into play with the school consolidation is that we had more staff members than we have positions for next year. Now, there is a policy called a reduction in force, which I'm sure you may have heard about with government agencies. We have not implemented that yet, and it is my hope we do not have to implement a reduction in force and that we can place all of our employees through attrition. But we used a process to rank and score all of our employees to make sure that it's fair and equitable so that there's not any favoritism or any conflict of interest when choosing who gets to go where. Everyone is treated equally using the same criteria. Longevity is just one small factor in that. There's other factors like what is your licensure area is in, your most recent evaluations, if you have any disciplinary actions that have been taken against you. So all of those count towards a individual's score, which then helps determine their placement.
There's a point process.
It is a point process. Yes, sir.
Thanks so much, Mr. Winbrook.
Yes, sir. I appreciate those questions.
I got a question. Anybody else? Commissioner Gray.
Doug Grimmer,
Yes, sir.
again, thank you for what you do. You mentioned, and you kind of answered my question about the RIF, the reduction in force.
Yes, sir.
But I do want to ask, for those employees that unfortunately will be a victim of the RIF, will there be any programs or any assistance provided to them in finding new jobs or new opportunities?
Well, again, it's my hope that we do not have to resort to that. And we're down to 8 staff members, and these are certified positions. These are teaching positions. All of our classified staff have jobs, and then none will be let go. And for those that are listening, classified are pretty much the rest of our employees that don't hold a teaching license. So our teacher assistants, custodians, bus drivers, child nutrition, the people that make our schools, that run our schools, all of them are taken care of. So down to these 8, we are working with them to try to find ways. Maybe they may not be able to teach in their licensure area. They could maybe teach in another subject for next year, or maybe they could be if they have a licensure issue, we could work with them on a substitute teaching basis. So we are exploring every single option. I don't want anyone to lose their job as a result of this consolidation. We've done some school consolidations before, and in all of those instances, we did not have to let anyone go, and that's my hope again this time. I'm going to do everything possible to keep it from happening.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
With the new administration change in the education being moved to the states, how's that? Or do you see any changes that will happen? I know there's a process we got to.
So you're referring to the discussions about the Department of Education
Yes,
at the
yes.
national level? Yes, sir. Well, I think everyone's keeping a close eye on that to see what impact it'll have. I think it's really difficult to tell right now.
Okay.
I know we about 12% of our total budget comes from the federal government. So that money is very important. It pays for critical services for our students with disabilities, for our Title I schools, our schools that have the highest poverty ratings. It pays for our English language learner education. It provides textbooks, all these things. So But the good news is, I believe what I've read and researched and heard from others is that even if the Department of Education were to disappear, most of the funding, the federal funding, is tied up in legislation that already exists. But I guess then the question would be, well, how's it going to get to us if there's no one at the federal level to manage it? I'm not sure. Maybe it would fall to the states to have to sort that out, which could cause a lot of problems. It could cause a delay. Even a delay is going to be a big issue for us. So we're a little concerned. We're keeping an eye on it.
And I guess it causes problem because the state all depends on who's in control, moves to what place.
Yeah, politics, of
Yes.
course. You know.
The other question, I know you depend on, you have a great number of foreign teachers.
Yes, sir.
Is that being impacted with the new immigration? Because the new government has changed a lot of immigration rules. So is that impacting you on that? Will that hopefully will not impact to the point where you don't have teachers? Now you say you still have room.
Right.
That's good.
So most of our foreign teachers are here on an H-1B worker visa, which, are not to get too technical, but it's a special category for high needs professions. And we have not heard that those visas would be restricted or removed or revoked or anything like that. We have not heard that. We do. I will say though that the immigration discussions and efforts at this national level have, many of our community members, our students and their families concerned.
Okay.
And we've had a lot of attendance issues this spring when some of this was going on at the national level.
Okay. And I guess the $3 million that you're saving will help you do a lot of maintenance that you have issues you have in the schools.
Yeah, that $3 million.
It's quite a bit of them.
That's money we really don't even have to spend. So it's gonna kind of get us back even because we've been using a lot of our fund balance up to this point.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, Dr. Wimby.
No, thank you, and I appreciate all that you do and your support for our schools.
At this time, we will be moving to public comments, but before that, the mayor and board welcome and encourage citizens to attend city board meetings and to offer comments, no matter of concern to them. Citizens are requested to review the following public comment guidelines prior to addressing the board. Citizens are requested to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Comments should be presented in a civil manner and be non-personal in nature, fact-based, and issue-orientated. Except for the public hearing comment period, citizens must speak for themselves during the public comment period. Citizens may not yield their time to another person. Topics requiring further investigation will refer to the appropriate city official, board committee, or agency, and may, if in order, be scheduled for a future meeting agenda. Individual personal issues are confidential by law and will not be discussed. Complaints related to specific individuals are to be directed to the city manager. Comments involving matters related to an ongoing police investigative matter and or court system will not be permitted. Citizens should not expect specific board action, deliberation, and or comment or subject matter brought up during the public comment section unless and until it's been scheduled as a business item as a future meeting agenda. With that,
And Mayor, may I say one thing? Under the circumstances, I'd like to get a consensus among the board members to increase the time to 5 minutes per speaker.
I agree.
a consensus. We got a consensus. We will increase, City Clerk will increase the 5 minutes of time for the public comment. And with that, our first person listed is Mr. Raymond Williams. He's at 129 West Front Street. His topic is planning and zoning meeting city response.
Good afternoon. My name is Raymond Williams. I reside at 129 West Front Street. I'm here to express my concerns regarding the recent planning board meeting held on March 25th, specifically about the discussion on the mobile food ordinance where my business partner, Anna Hausman, spoke. I was deeply troubled by the way Ms. Hausman was treated during this meeting. The conduct displayed was wholly inappropriate and unprofessional. At the end of the discussion, 4 board members approached her to apologize for the behavior of their colleagues, which speaks volumes for what I had witnessed. As a citizen of Oxford, I find this conduct embarrassing and unacceptable. After the meeting, I reached out to the city manager, the human resources director, the planning and zoning director, and all members of this board I am facing currently, except for Commissioner Brooks, as he was not listed on the website at that time. Unfortunately, I received no acknowledgement or response for my concerns from this board, the city manager, or the city HR director. I understand that we all have busy schedules, but the lack of communication from our city and elected officials is disappointing. Today, I am requesting clarifications on the following points. Complaint process. How can I formally file a complaint against a board member or city staff member, and what are the procedures for addressing such issues? 2, codes of conduct. Could you please provide me with the codes of conduct that board members and city staff are expected to follow? 3, addressing concerns. How are concerns about board members and city staff conducted typically addressed? 4, appropriate response time. What is the appropriate amount of time to expect a reply from a city staff employee? Please remember that you have all taken on a significant responsibility of leading our city. You choose to be in these positions, whether publicly elected or accepting a paid salary. If you feel that the responsibility is too much, I implore you to consider resigning. Thank you for your attention to these matters. I hope we can engage in constructive dialogue moving forward. I am deeply invested in this community and want to see positive growth. However, I believe the current breakdown of communication is driving a wedge in our community and hindering the process.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Calling Jason Duncan, 1217 Enum Road. It's on Power Up Grab Ball campaign honor utilization of Ramble Street Park.
Good evening, everyone. Might be a little redundant from the last time, but just got some changes to what we want to talk about. But my name is Jason Duncan. I'm a member and acting organizer for Down Home, North Carolina, here in Granville County. And just want to say that Down Home is a member-led organization created to expand multiracial working class power here in rural North Carolina. And I'm here tonight to make sure, one, that we stay connected, as our past encounters have done great things for the people here in the city of Oxford. But most importantly, for the initiation of our Power Up Grab All issue campaign. In the 2006 Park and Recreation Master Plan, it was spoken of having or wanting a park within 5 minutes of every downtown community. Here we are 19 years later and we still haven't accomplished that. But this campaign will focus on procuring federal funds that provide solar panels and a recreation area for the Grab All community. We have researched several grants that will aid us in getting these things done. We've started communication around this and have scheduled community canvases, one being this coming Saturday, to get and also pique interest in this initiative. This is just an introduction to you all, as we don't want to move without you all knowing without you being aware of our actions. We at Down Home are just asking for any help that you can offer to push us across the finish line. But I also wanted to speak to, there's been some murmurings as far as the underutilization of the Granville Street Park. And the blacktop is what Down Home was actually focused on as far as with the basketball courts. And with that being said, when the erection of the basketball courts would actually happen, it was almost in the fall, winter time. So, I don't want it to be a situation where people actually saying, okay, well, people not using the park, because when those were erected, it was a time where people couldn't use the basketball courts at all as far as weather. But that's actually getting ready to change. And through communication with some of the people here on the commission, what we actually want to do is actually have a basketball tournament there to actually get people actually using the park, with the intent of actually having a basketball league sometime this summer. So just want to actually put that out there as well. Just want to thank you all for your time and attention, and look forward to actually being in the community with you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Calling Don Wildock. Important of Power Grab All campaign.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Whitelock, and I'm a member of Down Home, North Carolina, the Granville chapter. I'm here to speak to the benefits that getting solar funds in this park would bring to the Grab All community. Myself, along with other Down Home members, have canvassed the community and found out that high energy bills and the lack of recreation are major issues. After learning this information, we at Down Home went to work researching and discovered the Thriving Communities Grant and the Solar for All Grant, which will bring the park and solar green energy, including solar panels, to the community at no cost to homeowners or renters. And this is two sources of federal funding that cannot be touched, that can provide the Graball community with the means to improve their quality of life. We're here to ask, nay, demand, that you, the City Council, look into securing these funds, as we believe this special and historic part of the city deserves these opportunities. Now, I want to reiterate that I'm a member of Down Home, North Carolina, Granville chapter, and we're not outnumbered, but we are out-organized. And we, as a working class people, in order to fight against organized money, must build people power. If you're interested, anyone here, we'd like to invite you to our next chapter meeting, April 30th, in the next door radio building at 109 Hillsborough Street. And you can see how we build people power in Granville County.
Thank you, Ms. Whitlock. Rod Hines, 4191 Indian Trail, subject Perry Farm.
Rod Hines, 4191 Indian Trail. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me a few minutes of your time. Everyone has a story, and I've enjoyed reading your biographies. Community-minded, people-minded, family-minded. Many served in the military, and many, their faith leads to church service, where we learn to love one another and to treat others as we would want to be treated. This past Friday, I sent each one of you an email concerning an airport in Colorado. A few have replied to my email. In short, recently a lawsuit was filed against the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport as being a public nuisance due to low-flying aircraft noise and unsafe levels of lead particulates emitted from the aircraft. All of this was due to the town of Superior continuing to develop closer and closer to the airport, after repeatedly being warned that these developments would experience noise from the aircraft, all hours of the night and day. Residents who had signed the airport real estate disclosure statements learned that the disclosures did not protect them from anything, but they had waived their rights by signing these waivers. Developers, realtors, everyone else in the world was protected by this disclosure, except for the property owners that were left with low-flying aircraft and noise. The parallels between this airport and the Oxford Henderson Airport are all too clear. You're able to see the future of Oxford's residents and the Oxford Airport right now, if you fail to learn from this city's history. When I asked the planning board and this body here if anyone wanted to live underneath low-flying aircraft and noise, not one said yes. And you're not alone. I've yet to find anyone, especially recently, that says, I want to live under low-flying aircraft and noise. And yet that's what the city's wanted to do by annexing this Perry property. The Perry Farm is directly under a known airport traffic pattern. By developing that property, you're basically saying, we don't want to live underneath that, under those conditions, but we're willing for someone else to live under those conditions so that we can get their tax dollars. You know, this is not in line with community-minded, people-minded, family-minded, and certainly not faith-minded. I understand the separation of church and state, but there is no law against doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, especially during this Holy Week. Growth, yes, but responsibly, showing that Oxford respects its citizens. And just one thank you. I want to thank Mr. Eddie McCoy. Mr. McCoy went out to the Oxford Henderson Airport to visit with the airport manager on his own time. to find out about the airport operations, to find out about the importance of the airport. And so I just want to say thank you, Mr. McCoy, for doing that. I know you're not always on the same side of the argument as us, but that really spoke a lot to me. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hines. Calling Hannah Osman, 306 Broad Street. Subject is planning and supporting small business.
Hello, Anna Hausman, 306 Broad Street. I want to, before I start, say I didn't get to comment on it last month, but thank you for the new display. It is much easier to participate in meetings with that, and thank you also for the extended time for speech. I greatly appreciate that. I want to speak today on concerns that I feel come up often, and I speak on them often, that we as the citizens in the city of Oxford support small business. And I personally own 3 small businesses based here in Oxford, and from my community members, I feel that immensely every day. But when I step into or have to interact within City Hall, I don't always feel that way. And so I want to speak on that for a moment. I was reading the newspaper and saw the vacant building ordinance that's going through planning phases. Makes me concerned. At first glance, I think, oh, I don't want vacant buildings either. Could I get behind that? Maybe. But then I think, well, the families who are holding on to these buildings that have been vacant for years, they're doing it to evade things like capital gains tax. They don't care about your fee. But the new business owners who are buying these buildings, which are oftentimes well under planning codes and well behind the times and need significant amounts of work, those fees probably will matter to them. And then when they're going back to city for zoning and planning, and that's a delay, and they're running into roadblocks to make their building more attractive to a tenant. And we're gonna potentially hit them with fees. Again, I haven't read the ordinance, obviously, but I read that and it gave me pause. And I just wanna say that if we're trying to encourage small business, as a business owner myself, if I come into a city, and I mean, I'm a little masochistic, so I love it here and I'm not going anywhere and I'm gonna keep running my businesses regardless. But if we're looking for new people who aren't maybe as wild as I am, are they gonna come to a city that's fining people for vacant buildings? Or are we gonna come to a city that's providing incentives that say, we want you here, look at this empty building and how can we help you fill it? So I want you to think about the message as you're reviewing these plans and ordinances and really consider, is the fee and the money that you gain from that worth what you're communicating to business owners? With that, like, I'm feeling a little bit frustrated when it comes to, we want small business to flourish and stay local, but we also have a planning advisory board that attacks concerned citizens who have spent hours and hours coming down to speak with other local businesses, putting in effort to write amendment proposals. And then when I'm speaking for myself, when I stood in front of the planning advisory board, I was treated like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies. I mean, it was really upsetting to me. And we're allowing that to happen. Nobody stopped that from happening. And it went on for what felt like an hour of being treated poorly. So again, we have someone business-minded, invested in this community, who not only pays residential taxes in downtown, but also pays commercial taxes in downtown, has concerns I've been speaking about, and then is treated that way. So I'm asking you again, as people who sit here and have the ability to affect how new business owners come in, when you're making appointments for planning boards, consider how diverse and open-minded your boards might be. Consider, is it time to look for and encourage a new wave of people to come in? If you are, like looking for, if you're getting emails, I know you guys get a lot of emails. I'm like in awe every day of the things that come through Cheryl Hart's door and all the things that the planning and zoning team does. Like, I'm asking you today to consider, what can we do to remove barriers and not add them? What does our city planning and zoning need how can we support them? I don't have those answers, but what can we be doing to support that if we're saying we're going to fine businesses for being vacant, but are we helping like move things in businesses that are in progress with our zoning? Are we helping that process go smoother? If we're, there's just, it's a lot of questions that I have there. If we're, how are we, instead of penalizing, how are we incentivizing? So that's mostly what I wanted to say. I also will be presenting again on mobile food ordinance for round 2, May 19th. I would just ask that you, I will be emailing some information to you all tomorrow. I ask that you review it, and if you have questions, please ask me. I recognize I'm over my 5 minutes, but I've invested my time and also now my finances into this amendment and moving us forward by asking for legal help. So I ask you to pay attention, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Osman. Call upon Mr. Jim Wren, 111 Gillian Street. Subject is Prairie Farm rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, city attorney, and city manager, and Madam Clerk. Good evening. My name is Jim Wren. My address is 111 Gilliam Street, Oxford, North Carolina. I appear in my capacity as county attorney for Granville County. The agenda contains the following matter. Consider voting on the conditional rezoning of the Perry Farm development. Any vote taken tonight to rezone this property will be without legal authority. Following the last meeting, we had hoped to have a substantive response to Mr. Corniss's comments, the letter we provided, and my subsequent email to Mr. Burnett, Mr. Taylor, and Ms. Hart. Since we have not received any such response, we're forced to come back this evening to make clear that the city has no authority to rezone the Perry Farm. The property is not in the city's ETJ, and it has not been annexed. Any zoning action taken here will be void from the time it is taken. The county will retain both zoning and police power jurisdiction over the property. Any development approvals must continue to come through the county. Please also note this conclusion also applies to the portion of the Hunt Farm that was rezoned recently without being in the ETJ. Any suggestion that Chapter 160D of the North Carolina General Statutes authorizes a conditional rezoning without jurisdiction is specious. North Carolina General Statute 160D-204, pending jurisdiction, clearly addresses zoning changes when a city does not have jurisdiction. That section makes clear that while the adoption of development regulations, i.e. rezoning, and decisions on development approvals may be made concurrently with annexation, they may not occur before the acceptance of jurisdiction through the annexation process. A conditional rezoning is not a rezoning that is contingent on the city gaining jurisdiction in the future. Rather, it is defined by North Carolina General Statute 160D-1027 as a legislative zoning map amendment with site-specific conditions incorporated into the zoning map amendment. A conditional rezoning can only occur after the city gains jurisdiction. Any vote taken here tonight is void and will have to be retaken if the city later gains jurisdiction. Although I understand it's not the board's practice, I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Wren. I'd like to call upon Mr. Eddie McCoy.
Good afternoon. I'm Eddie McCoy, 408 Kingsbury Street. I'd like to bring to the board the report from the airport. Since you guys were so busy with y'all's schedule, I took one upon myself to go out and do an investigation about the airport. First thing I want to let everybody here know, if you want to know anything about the airport, and you're going to fly out, you go to the airport, don't you? So if you want to know anything about the airport, go to the airport. I went 5 or 6 times. So that's what you got to do. If you want to know about the airport, go to the airport. Don't let these people come here and tell you about the airport, and they don't go to the airport, to this airport. Okay. It was not no 200 and some flights going in that airport, and it will not be for this whole year. I can give you that report. It was a helicopter came in for light flight from Murray Perham. It was 3 pilots, whatever you call them, and they was getting fuel. When the helicopter left, it went out to the highway. You know where the highway is, about half a football field, and made a left turn and came back this way over Perham Farm and went on back. That that helicopter did not go over no subdivision. You had Clayton Homes had a jet out there, brought their passengers for service or whatever at the building. Okay. That plane did not disturb nobody because it don't. I talked to the pilot. They only come when they need to service something at the Clayton home, and they come in for a meeting. Now, the rest of the time, it was practice and people learning how to fly airplanes. Commissioner Bridger, I don't care what these guys come in here telling you about landing and flying, going up and down. You go to the airport. Don't believe those guys. Those planes come in, they touch, and they run, and they go right back out. They're practicing. Now, they didn't tell you that airport, if it's raining, it don't run. If it's cloudy, it don't run. If the weather's bad, it does not operate. And at night, when you go out there at night, who's out there to meet that aircraft? Who out there to meet that aircraft? Where do they go to bathroom after closing? When, I'm not, you want me to tell you? It's a porta toilet. That's where they go, a porta toilet. It's locked and closed. I'm not here to beat up on the airport. All I suggest is you go out there and you see for yourself. There will not be no disturbance, nobody in this room, in the next 5 to 10 years that will affect anybody. And you know one thing? The people that live on the road that go to the airport, you don't see them in here talking about the airport. The young lady that came here, bless her heart, she doing her job. And she want to keep the airport open. I want to keep it open. But I don't want people to come here and talk about the airport if you haven't been out there and physically look at what's going on at the airport. Now, Ms. Hard can tell you about growth. Growth is a pain. It's pain, it's hell. When they run that water line up Salem Road, then nobody out there want no water. She said, nobody. George Wright, nobody out there wanted no. Ms. Bridget, no. Bridget, no. Nobody wanted water. But ask her now how many people that war. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this attorney here, this attorney get paid. We all, you know what, we pay a salary too. I always tell y'all when I come down here, we pay 2 taxes. We pay county and city taxes. So I can talk about him too, because I pay his taxes. Where was this, not in my back door attorney. Not in my back door. You know what I'm talking about. What about Ryder Road? I know you don't know what I'm talking about. What about when we was down, what about those properties down that's being developed on Ryder Road? No, I'm not addressing you. I'm not addressing you. What about down at Ryder Road? All down there, you understand? Nobody came here and said, if you annex those properties, they don't say that, but not in my back door. But yeah, you can go anywhere that black people live and you can develop the whole world, but not in my back door. Not in my back door.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Now I would like to call on Mr. Harry Murray, 4098 Salem Road. Issues verified.
Good evening. My name is Henry Moray. I live at 4098 Salem Road in the Graham Estates subdivision, directly across Salem Road from the proposed Perry Farm development. When Perry Farm first came up last year, I was concerned. The commercial component directly across the road from my family's established rural home, along with the potential density of up to 3 units per acre, could have had a detrimental impact to my family's way of life. Since then, however, I've had conversations with the current owner of the parcel, the developer, and several commissioners to share my concerns. To everyone who's met with me, thank you for your time and consideration. The latest version of the proposal reflects several changes that meaningfully address the concerns I mentioned, such as the inclusion of passive open space in the southeastern corner of the parcel and the reduction of allowable density by roughly 22%. I appreciate the developer's responsiveness to community feedback regarding these matters, and I can personally say that these updates will make a world of difference for my family. I look forward to continuing to have open, productive, and good faith conversations with the developer going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This concluded the public comment section as we move to public hearing and city business. First item on business tonight, consider approval of 34 lot subdivision off Ixmill Road and Daniel Street. The planning board is recommending approval. Is there a motion?
Motion.
There's a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consider voting item 4.2. Consider voting on the conditional rezoning of Perry Farm development consisting of 527 plus acres that was tabled in the March 11th board meeting. The planning staff recommends approval of this. Before we move there, city manager and city attorney, we would like to address.
Mayor and commissioners, first I'd like to say, I've been here a little over a year and a half, and one thing I have noticed about you as a board is that you will listen carefully to what the public says, many times postponing a vote to consider and reflect on what they have to say, and certainly appreciate that. At the last meeting, unfortunately, I kind of fell into that. We'll hear what they have to say. We'll go into and we'll talk more about it, when I should have addressed some issues at that time that have erroneously made us look like some of these things had not been considered. One with the airport. First of all, I can tell you that discussions went on between the planning department and the developer regarding the airport in several issues. In fact, they have been really an outstanding developer in terms of addressing those things. You can clearly tell it's not their first rodeo, and that they worked with us to address any concerns that the airport have. We are also, by the way, a partner in the airport. So we have every reason in the world to make sure that we work together with that. And if noise is a concern, that you think, okay, let's say the worst case scenario is that 10, 15 years from now, we don't like the noise, we want to get rid of it. Well, there's at least 3 other partners that are far away, and I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. But in all reality, we know the economic impact that this airport can have, and this developer has been excellent to work with. Secondarily, as far as the conditional rezoning, the statute allows you to go through the process. Okay, it is correct that zoning does not take effect until annexation. Okay, what you're doing tonight is to communicate to the developer what the zoning is going to be upon annexation. That is key to them because of many things that they have to do, not the least of which is probably line up partners, contractors, financing. In some cases, it may be actually acquiring the property. So that's why the statute allows you to go through the process so that they know what they're able to do. What it does not allow you to do is you cannot go in and affect police enforcement, code enforcement, issue permits, which we're not doing. We're not doing any of that until there's annexation. And the reason they're not done tonight is because sometimes when you're doing annexation, you got some I's and T's to dot that you're not ready to do at this moment. But they need to get on with all their planning and all the things that I just mentioned. And if it takes 2 or 3 months to do that, that's valuable time for them. So all you're doing tonight is communicating what the zoning is going to be at some point in the future when we annex and most likely reaffirm this zoning. That's when all that will take place.
Thank you, City Manager. I'd like to call upon a developer. You'd like to say something before we move on.
We had a brief presentation that was put together. We can pull that up. Let's see. Well, while we're waiting, Cindy Schwarzkopf with Kimley Horn, happy to be here this evening on behalf of the developer. Spent a lot of time in, past couple months with staff working through this, and listening to all the comments that we had from the meeting last month. We have made a couple changes in direct response to those comments. So if we could just go to the second slide, I'll just give you a quick overview of the changes that we've made to the plan between March 11th and this evening. I think we briefly discussed at the last meeting that there was a thought process of reducing some of the townhome units. So you can see on the left-hand side, and maybe I'll just walk around, might be a little bit easier to see. Left-hand side, there was a pod of townhomes in this area, and we had talked about reducing that and making it just open space. Let's think about a ball field. Let's think about open space. Let's just have more green space. And we're way exceeding the amount of open space that's required in this, but we really felt that was just the right decision. So we've reduced the number of townhome units, and that which reduces our overall density for the project. And then if you scroll down a little bit more, after conversations with Henry and others, if you could scroll down a little bit more on the slide. Thank you. You can see that originally we had the entire frontage along Salem for commercial space. And in more reflection and thinking about what would be best for the project and less impacts to the neighbors, the area that's shaded in purple is now going to be open space or parkland. And the developer is more than willing to dedicate that to Oxford. We will figure that out, whatever is best, but there will be no commercial in that portion of the project. Scroll down a little bit more, just kind of key notes also from last meeting. We'd already had this in our document, but 50-foot height restriction for all buildings. The required FAA 7460 notice of proposed construction form has been submitted. As I just mentioned, we've reduced the unit count and the overall density. We've reduced that commercial area and included a park space. And just to confirm, we are continuing to maintain 20-foot buffers around the perimeter of the development. So really, I feel like we've listened to the neighbors' concerns. We heard the concerns from the airport related to the FAA 7460. That has been filed, and I'm pleased to answer any other questions you have, but I believe that we've put forth a really positive neighborhood for Oxford.
Thank you. Commissioner Bridges.
So could you just briefly address the concern about efforts to close up the airport? Because putting houses there is going to cause those folks to be upset and eventually make an effort to get rid of the airport.
I don't know that I'm qualified to talk about the airport and the airport's closing. What I can say is that I've worked on many developments that have been adjacent or close by an airport, and all of the developers that we've worked with in the past have done a very good job for marketing, because they're putting in millions and millions and millions of dollars into these projects, and they want them to be successful. So they do lots of forward-facing marketing to let the neighbors know that, hey, and you can see it on the map, the airport is close by. And then, we've also worked to put navigation easements and things, and we've let people know that there's just this, it's already there. It's not like the airport is coming tomorrow. It has been there. They were there first. So these people are going to understand that. I haven't been involved in a case where there's been a concern about an airport closing. So I can't really address that first part of your question.
There is a concern, though, that the airport will not be able to expand as it gets bigger, if there's a housing development there. So that's a question I don't think has been raised yet. It could stop the airport expansion. Am I right?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any plans to go that way.
You don't think so? You don't know? I mean, I'm just asking the question. It's I think it's about
No,
the
I mean,
question.
they can't.
They can't expand.
They have no authority to. If the land is, they want to sell it as a, it's a commercial or a development. I mean,
I'm sorry, I
Airport
wasn't
can't
sure if
just take
anybody
it.
heard me. Yeah. I was asking a question about expansion, the possible expansion of the airport, and would the housing development put a halt to that? But Commissioner said no.
I mean, the airport doesn't have rights to that land, so.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Just a question.
Any more questions?
Mine's not a question specifically to you. It's just it's just a statement to the people here that are concerned about the thing about the airport and stuff. I go all across the state with my job, with my state job. I deal with traffic data. A few weeks back, I had to work down in Union County, which is the county that sits left of Mecklenburg County, down by Charlotte. I had to put a traffic counter out, and when I pulled up to this location, I pulled up to this place where I was going to install it at. I look over to one side, on the opposite side of the street. There was a house there. When I looked across the street, there was an airport there. The airport was literally close. The strip was literally close enough that if I would have grabbed the rock, I could have threw it and it would have hit the asphalt on the strip. And you're talking about maybe 7, and I got it on picture as well. I took a picture because I was intrigued by it. For those who might be interested to look at it later on, but that's literally close enough to where I could have threw a rock and it would have hit the asphalt of the landing strip. And if I would have threw it, if I was a professional thrower, I probably could have hit a plane. Now, can you imagine how low these airplanes got to get over top of this house that's across the street to land on this strip? And this airport, if you want to look it up, it's called Goose Creek Airport down in Union County. And if you Google map it, it'll come up and it'll show you how close to the strip. And I just found it interesting because we've had this argument here about the airport. And when you go down there by the airport, I mean, I've literally participated in paving the road that goes to the airport. There are literally houses like right there, right next door to the airport. And right in front of their landing strips, there's houses in front of the fence that the airplanes go directly over top of it. And we're talking about a subdivision that's going to be, I don't know, a half a mile to a mile down the road, if not farther. So if anybody's interested to look at those photos, I mean, come see me after the meeting and I'll show you. But I just found it kind of interesting that some are arguing on how it's going to affect the people of the subdivision when there's people out there that literally live across the street, maybe 200 feet away from a landing strip. But that was just my statement, man.
Is there any more questions? Thank you very much. So we move forward. Consider voting on conditional rezoning Prairie Farm Development consisting of 525 plus acres that was tabled in March 11 board meeting. The planning staff recommended approval of this request. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah. And it's interesting that when I was walking out of my office today, a couple of people walked up to me. You know, they were interested in my position on this Perry Farm vote. And, you know, they, you know, expressed some concerns about how quickly we are moving in terms of voting for a lot of developments and whether or not we have the water capacity and things like that. I mean, these are a couple of business owners. And, you know, the only comment I want to make before we vote is that I have heard the voices and the citizens that have come up and expressed some concerns about this particular development, partly because of the proximity to the airport and partly because they feel that the city is going to put itself in a lot of debt. And they wonder how we're going to get out from under all of the debt. And even when I argued about increasing our tax base, some of the monies that will come with supporting this development, they still had concerns about the money that the city's, you know, going to have to put up front to support this effort. And they also made comments about what we charge for hookups to our water system compared to other municipalities. So I'm just saying this to say, you know, we hear you, or I hear you, and it's not an easy decision to make.
Anyone else? Okay, we have a second on the table. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
We have 5 in favor, 4 opposed. Motion carries. 2 opposed, I'm sorry. 2 opposed, 5 and 2. Motion carries. At this time, we move to the presentation FY 25-26 budget by the City Manager Brent Taylor.
Mayor and Commissioners, tonight is to present the budget to you for your consideration and ultimate deliberation over the next couple of months. As I'll always tell you, this is your budget. It's for you to amend however you would like to. It's just a starting point for you in those negotiations. Hopefully, that's trying to meet some of your goals and objectives that you see for the city as financially prudent as we can to the public. This, at some point tomorrow, this presentation, along with the actual line items, will be online for them to review as well. We'll start out with the general fund. Anticipated revenues, $15,372,830. Some of the overall concerns that we have to deal with as a municipality that I think sometimes people forget is that we are in a very competitive labor market from both the public and private sector. Many times we are competing for the same people. Certainly you know about public safety and the competition for law enforcement, but that also goes into other fields, public works, engineering, et cetera, that we're going to be competing with. Inflation, as you know, last couple of years, we've seen significant inflation, maybe some uncertainty going forward in the future. We still have to deal with that in the things that we buy as well. So we're not immune from that. Just because we're a small town doesn't mean we don't feel those effects, as well as technology. And I'll go into more of that later in some of these individual departments. And then also the community expectations that I know each of y'all here, as you just mentioned, and some of us as well. So, the highlights, as I mentioned before, competition for labor. So we wanted to continue with cost of living adjustments and the opportunities for merit and professional development enhances. Continuing contributions to the retirement 401k, capital purchases, technology. This budget does not include a tax increase, and it does not include an increase in fees, although we may look at increasing some things to developers as far as the review process. So as we see how those costs develop, those I'm sure are going to get passed along to the developers. So next. Revenue summary, I'm not going to go through each of these, but I just wanted to highlight the main revenue drivers. The property tax, so 32%, sales tax, 21%, sanitation fees are 11%, so those are your top three, and then everything else is kind of roughly the same. Where your money goes, okay, we're heavily personnel. That's very common for any government entity. You have firefighters, police officers, public works, certainly administrative staff, very heavily personnel driven. So then it's followed up by operations expense, some capital, and then other expenses that don't necessarily fall into those categories. Spending by department, your biggest emphasis is on public safety. Over 40% are devoted to the police and fire department. Then after that, roughly 24% is in what I would say public works functions, including sanitation, followed by recreation, and then you see the rest of them. So the chart there just kind of shows you where your emphasis is. Okay. Governing board, just to show that we have no hard feelings, we're still going to contribute to the airport authority. All right, I'll put that. But development projects continue to contribute to recreation and culture, various memberships, etc. So in this case, operations is the larger portion of your budget. Next. Executive department, the highlights there. We started a program trying to improve decorating our downtown. We mentioned about a month ago about signage improvements. We will continue those. Also, I know a priority on your list is public safety station, so the design portion is included in this budget to get that started, and then also vehicle replacement. Downtown economic development, again, very similar to what we've done in the past, supporting events, and then partnering with Oxford, which is the downtown development entity, into developing initiatives to enhance our downtown. Human resources, I would say, of course, obviously we want to continue to recognize employees that do a good job. We've made a good start this year on that, and we want to continue to do that. Believe it or not, you can't register or you can't sign up for a job online. You have to download it. So we're going to try to join the 21st century and enable that to happen. So next. Finance department, it seems like a big number, but there's several things that go into that number. aside from the personnel, we actually pay fees to Granville County. We're looking to do improvements to our own cybersecurity, pay post-retirement benefits out of that. The assessments that go to the Parking Authority, the OEDC, is also out of this budget, along with debt service. And debt service is actually really small. We're really just paying on a fire engine. So it's really small as far as the general fund is concerned. Engineering department, we'll be looking for some outside assistance. So now with our engineer departing, we'll be using firms. We would be using firms anyway because of the size of the department. Also going to be doing some technology upgrades to help plans get transmitted better from a technology standpoint. So planning pretty much is going to continue as normal. We put some money in there to demolish condemned buildings to help with some blighted areas. Continue. Police department, as was mentioned earlier, this budget allows for a school resource officer. We'll revive the K-9 program, 5 additional police vehicles, some technology improvements, and various equipment. Fire department, they need some repairs to the existing stations, so we'll be doing some of that, albeit not quite all of them. The put in there to apply for that grant again to get 3 additional firefighters, and then you see some of the equipment that they need to continually keep updated, so when they go into an emergency situation, they're properly equipped. Public Works. You can see, of course, obviously I got personnel, waste collection make up the bulk of that budget. But some things that we want to address from an equipment standpoint, an additional leaf machine, which can be operated by 1 person instead of needing 3, which during the off season will allow us to do other things that we can't get to. Some truck replacements, a salt spreader, that one is pretty much done, so we need to really replace that. A roof repair, and then some other equipment. Parks and Rec, mostly just some upgrades to the skateboard park, a scoreboard that needed replacing, some storage for equipment, and you see some of the equipment that they're needing. Stormwater fund. You see the fees that are generated. You see a fairly significant fund balance there. The reason for that is we haven't done a lot of projects over the last couple of years, so we've been building that fund balance in anticipation of some projects may come up this year, so we're going ahead and budget for that. Go ahead. I mentioned before, stormwater project update to the master plan and some design and review services that we're doing. Powell bill. Our debt service on that is for some road resurfacing. I can't remember exactly when it was done. I think 3 years ago. We'll still be paying for that for a little while. We have put some money toward resurfacing if we can get a project that will work with that. Along with some sidewalk repair and then some other things that go to support those operations. Water and sewer fund, estimated revenues $13,509,526. Some key things there is rehabilitation to our water treatment plant, clarifier. We do, although we're partners in Car Lake, part of that partnership is we purchase water from them. I mean, that's just how it works. Continuation of the advanced meter infrastructure program. This would be year 2 of, I believe, year 4 of our intention of everybody on AMI. Right now, there's an inflationary rate increase of 3% that was done as per our rate study from last year, as you remember. And the objective of that is to have small gradual increases as opposed to a much larger increase like we had to do the year before. And then the same as the general fund, cost of living adjustments, merit, professional opportunity, capital purchases, technology enhancements, et cetera. We do anticipate an increase in system development fees. We're waiting for that study to be completed, and that's fees are passed on to the developer for infrastructure. Overall, you can see how we money spent, or the revenue side, I should say, virtually evenly split from water and sewer. There'll be a capital project infusion that's to pay for the clarifier rehab, and then some other sources, most notably a grant for us to do lead and copper study to know who all has lead and copper issues in the city. And then that just breaks it down by line item, and y'all can see that going forward. The overall spending, still spending a good amount on capital, debt service, because all these projects that we have done in the past, we're having to pay the debt service on it. The utilities is the water purchases as a member of the Carr Lake. And then so you can see personnel and variety operations, which I'll go into now. You can see that by department. And you can see the wastewater treatment plant, and then the other, like the debt service, et cetera, are the two biggest spenders, but we do spend a little over $1.5 million on line maintenance. And then you see what the others are. Collections, that's what it says. It's just personnel. We are continuing to upgrade our technology, so there will be easier ways to pay, and that's some of the things that we are looking at now. Unfortunately, the post office doesn't allow us to bill for free, so we still have to pay postage on that. And then, of course, with technology, there's processing fees. Meter service, it's mostly personnel, some operations, and the capital is for meters that will go into new homes, new residences, as opposed to in the capital side where we have AMIs, and that will be replacing existing meters because we will buy way more than that. Wastewater treatment plant, you can see the request there. The main thing is to rehab the clarifiers, and then some equipment purchases they need for maintenance out there. And then you see what the other is. Carr Lake purchases, services of Stovall, lift station repair and replacement, and the study. And then, of course, we have transfers to the general fund because the general fund, this is the enterprise fund, the general fund does services for the water and sewer fund. Water sewer line department, like I said, continuation of AMIs and some equipment replacement. You can see all that. So the schedule would be, again, for let y'all to take this budget, think about it, digest it. You got anything you would like for me to research, or some things that you would like for us to consider? Certainly, you can do it at that budget workshop meeting on May 5th. But if you get it to me in advance, we'll probably have a more efficient meeting for you. Then we would have the public hearing on May 13th. Final adoption at the June meeting. And with that, like I said, again, it's your budget. You can amend it however you want. And we look forward to getting it adopted in June.
Thank you much, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you.
This budget proposal is going online today, right? Tomorrow. So everyone in the city should be able to have go on there and look at it. Please give us your input. It's value. Please give us your input. Send us notes. you see something in the budget you'd like us to address, please do so. At this time, consider calling, item 4.4, consider calling for public hearing for the May 13th regular board meeting to receive citizen input on FY 2025-2026 budget. I just said that. Staff recommends calling for public hearing for the May 13th regular board meeting to receive citizen input on the FY 2025-2026 budget. I ask, is there a special format you want the citizens to do, or?
Just be like normal. I mean, they can review budget and they can come out and they just make comments on it.
Okay.
Very simple.
If they want to send it in writing, make sure you copy the city clerk on it. That way we know we'll get it. Okay, and it'll be on our attention. Staff recommends, okay. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Wait, I gotta go back. I'm saying I gotta go back. Let me go back, guys. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Consider accepting the February 2025 financial report. Consider accepting March 3rd and March 11th minutes. Is there a motion? Which one?
Brian Elliott.
This one is not here.
Brian Elliott to the Grandma Tour. I mean, Brian Elliott to the.
Appoint Brian, okay, yeah, it's not on my paper. Appoint Brian Elliott as an interim City of Oxford representative to the Granville County Tourism Board. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll just go to our customary as we close with the comments. Each one of the board members allowed to make comments. I'll start with Mr. Taylor. You want to make any more comments for tonight?
I just want to.
Mr. Taylor?
Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Burnett? Mr. Toby?
Yes, I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. We listened. We heard you. I say thank you. It's good to hear so many people participate and get an interest in what's going on in their city. And publicly, I want to offer my condolences to the Washington family for the loss of Royster Washington. That's all I have.
Mr. Taylor?
I was remiss in one thing. I would like to say thank you to the staff to help prepare that budget, particularly the finance department and the department heads that supplied information and all those things. So certainly it's a team effort in putting the budget together. I was remiss in not recognizing that earlier.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bridges, Commissioner Bridges.
Yes, I certainly want to give my condolences to family. Royster Washington worked in our court system for many years in the probation department, and I worked alongside him in different capacities. Just simply a nice man. It's certainly a tragic event, and I just found out about it from Commissioner Trovey. That is a tremendous loss for our community because he loved the city of Oxford, and he often spoke to me about things that he'd like to see happen, and always asked about how things were going. So just a tremendous loss. And I too appreciate those in the public who came out tonight and spoke to this board. I think it's important to to continue to talk to us. That's why I supported the extended time, because, you know, I want to hear what people are feeling. You know, we sign up for this when we put ourselves out there to represent our constituents. And so, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot to stop and listen for the concerns of our community. And I'm glad to see a stronger effort in doing that. And I, you know, just continue to hope that this board will do what's in the best interest of the city of Oxford.
Thank you, Commissioner Bridges. Commissioner Bellis.
Yes, I do got something to say. Thank you for everybody who comes out and express their concerns and the things that they want to talk about. I was hoping that the county attorney was going to stay to the very end. I was very hoping, because there was a statement that he made that he said that last month's meeting, they came out representing their board. After last month's meeting, I ran into one county commissioner in the supermarket, and I ran into two other ones at a community event. Neither of the three had recollection of any attorney coming to address this board. None of them did not know. They claimed to not have a clue that what I was talking about. They said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, yeah, the attorney showed up, said he representing the county. Tonight he said he's here representing the county as well. It's either he's doing stuff on his own, or they having very bad miscommunication over in the county. But for three commissioners to tell me that they don't have a clue what I was talking about when a lawyer come and address this board, I mean, I find it very strange and surprising, to say the least. So, saying that, you know, I just wanted to make that clear, because I do follow through on a lot of stuff. When people come and they talk about stuff or they bring up stuff, you know, we pushed it to the side last meeting because we wanted to discuss. I mean, we really wanted to look into the thing about the airport and everything else. And I mean, I've even looked into a few other airports myself and see how their layout of their community has affected them. But I just want to make it clear that I do look into stuff, and three county commissioners did not have a clue of what I was talking about. But otherwise, I want to thank everybody for coming out and, you know, constantly coming here and showing your interest, and we really appreciate y'all. That's it, man.
Thank you, Commissioner Bellis. Commissioner Lumpkins.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever wanted to know anything about Granville County or Oxford, you ask Royster Ross.
That's right.
You know, local historian, could tell you anything you wanted to know about what were the past three people that lived in families that grew up in one of the historic homes. He would know them by name and the years they were there. So yeah, I hated to hear of his passing. It's a huge loss to Oxford. So yeah, my thoughts are definitely with the family. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Lumpkins. Commissioner Brooks.
Yes. This past Saturday, well, the mayor called me Friday, texted me Friday and asked me if I was DJing on Saturday. And I said no. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And there was a community event that was held, and I'm grateful to have been a part of it, because to see all of the kids with all those smiles on their faces, whether it be them losing their minds with that Easter egg hunt, going to all events, going the police department was there, the fire department was there, the sheriff's office was there, and it was just a great put on, in my opinion, for Granville County, but specifically for the city of Oxford. I thought the fire department handed out fire extinguishers, and that was a very good look, Chief, because those are the simple things. A fire extinguisher, one fire extinguisher could save someone's house or save plenty of lives in the home. So I appreciate that effort. Officer Jones was out there, Chief, and he was representing your department extremely well. Sheriff's Department had a lot of people out there. They had a Humvee. It was just an exciting time. And so watching the community response to the mayor being there, Commissioner McCray was there, Commissioner Velas was there, as well as myself. I was a proud member of this board, and I was a proud member of this community, because that's what this job is really about. I'm also appreciative of the citizens that come, whether they're criticizing or applauding, they are expressing their right to be heard. And I respect that, because dissenting opinions should still be listened to. They should be respected, because it can give you a new perspective. I commend Mr. Moray for coming through. I met with him for an hour, a little over an hour. We ate lunch, and he pressed his way. He sent us emails, and he worked the process, and it worked out in his favor. So I want to give him a tremendous shout out. But again, the direction of our town, the cooperation, is going to take all of us in order to make Oxford better. It's going to take every citizen. It's going to take every opinion. And I appreciate the respect that we have for each other. And I pray that we will continue to be respectful, even when we don't agree. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner McCray, I'm not going to call you McCoy today. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. That's fine. That's fine. As always, I thank each and every one of you for pressing your way to come out to attend these meetings. And definitely condolences to the Washington family. You all in our thoughts and our prayers, and will continue to be so. Commissioner Bridges touched on something a little while ago. He talked about, I guess, the difficulty of what this board, what we do, and I have to echo that, because it is difficult. But I want to throw out a few subtle reminders as well. A lot of times when we have discussions, as we did on this evening, this is, the voices that we hear. It's a small snapshot, not to belittle, but it's a small snapshot. I can assure you, for every yay that I hear or talk to a community, someone in a community about, there's just as many nays as well. So, and unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball. I know the gentleman, he left, but he mentioned, about the separation of church and state. It's understandable. But I'm sorry, I thought you had authority. You mentioned the separation of church and state, and I agree to some extent. But I also would say, and I can only speak for me, my fervent prayer is that any decision that are made or that we make collectively, individually, is for the betterment of the city. And I'm a firm believer, whether that's agreed upon or not. I can only speak for me. And with that, now I know come Thursday or Friday, there will probably be a twist that is either seen or read that might not be in total agreement with what happened here on tonight. I'm quite sure there'll be a huge to-do where there is, the city of Oxford versus Granville County.
The ledger.
Say again?
The ledger.
So I'm sure, something will come out in that fashion. But again, I would ask each and every one of the community members, the citizens of Oxford, to, if you can't press your way to the meetings, at least try and join online. And in addition to, like I said, continue to stop and talk to us, have sidebars, because that's what it's all about. We're representation of, the people that elect us, or for the city of Oxford. And again, I know a lot of times, now, will we be able to satisfy everybody all the time? Absolutely not. That's the beauty of a democracy. We're not a dictatorship. So again, in that difficulty, I think it was Einstein that said, in the midst of difficulty lies opportunity. And I think that's something that we definitely should follow up on. A lot of times, there are going to be differences, but it's very important that we know the whole story. A couple of weeks ago, the comprehensive land use plan was brought up, and it was stressed that the preservation of the historic preservation should be key and focal. And I agree, but when you go and look at the numbers, there are only 295 people that voted, that took part in that, and only 169 had that as a top priority. It's a very small snapshot of the city. We're talking about a city of probably now over 9,000 people. So again, those are the things I would ask that we delve into, that we look into. Now, it sounds good. It may sound one way, but of course, if you really want to, you really have to dig in and as my pops would say, got to get down to the roots. And that would, that will really tell you the whole story. But again, with all of that being said, I thank each and every one of you for what you do. Those that are online listening, I thank you, because again, you're making that sacrifice to listen. You're making that sacrifice to be a part of what we hope and what we pray is to a path forward to making Oxford the best it can be. And I truly believe that's our individual and collective goals. Again, but just know, with that being the case, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to agree on every single thing. Because we're not robots. Thank God, God bless us with the ability to, free will and think on our own. But again, just know that what we intend to do and what we set forth to do is to make decisions that are not only, best suited for us, but for the city in general. Again, thank you. And I, as I often say, when you come back next month, grab a couple of people and bring them with you. All right, everyone have a blessed evening.
Mr. Mayor, I would also like to extend my deepest condolences to the Washington family.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to extend my condolences as well. I didn't know Mr. Washington. I've heard a lot of good things about him, but I didn't have the privilege of knowing him. But definitely I extend my condolences to that family.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Before you get to Mayor Pro Tem, there was something.
I was getting ready to talk. I'm sorry.
I had meant to make a comment about something else that I heard tonight, and that is a planning board meeting where business owners felt affronted by members of the board on the planning board. Now, I wasn't at that meeting. I have no clue what happened, but I know we often talk about how the public should address us and how it should not be personal. Well, if we have folks from the community who come to speak to any board and something like that happens, I think that's important for us to look at. Because if we're going to tell them how to talk to us, then there ought to be some level of respect in terms of what we say to them. I wasn't at the meeting. I don't know who said what, but obviously there was some concerns about the way they were treated. And so whatever we need to do, we need to deal with what happened.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm sorry. I was going to start speaking. Forget you. Planning Commission Bridge remind me. Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't know how he think he was gonna get away with me not having something to say tonight. All the condolences have been extended to the Washington family, but I ask you to keep that wife in prayer, because he was an outstanding man. To be an outstanding man, there's got to be a powerful woman behind him or beside him. So please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. To the planning board, if you all were, I was not there, so I don't know what transpired, but I do follow what Commissioner Bridges said. Respect goes both ways. To the chief of police, to the fire chief, whatever you're doing down the street from me is working. I tend to go right when I leave home now. I'm just checking to see who's parked where and who's parked beyond the yellow line, and whatever y'all doing, your presence or whatever it's doing is having an effect. To the citizens of Oxford, your input is what we need. Don't think that because I do not reply to your emails that I don't read your emails. Your emails educate me, so I have to do my own homework. I will not reply to your email without having all the knowledge. That goes to all of our citizens. It goes both ways. Thank you. Oh, let's not forget, Employee Appreciation, the 25th at Public Works, 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30. Well, tell them 8 o'clock, they'll be there by 8:30.
7:30.
We're recognizing, and I wish we could recognize every employee, but we're recognizing our employee of the quarter at Public Works.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I know you guys addressed how you were treated on the planning board. Like we stated, we weren't there. We don't know what happened. But I personally, I've spoken with y'all out in the community. I think y'all outstanding people. And if you was mistreated, I would like to extend an apology to the both of you.
Thank you very much. Please bear with me for the next hour while I go through this. Again, I know we talked about Mr. Royster Washington. He was one of the first guys when I moved into the city. He showed up at my door, brought something over as a tradition when it did in the old days, and neighbors would come and welcome neighbors. I would traditionally do my weekly tours with him. If something throughout the city and you see, come and grab me and we go riding. Same thing I did with, I'm doing now with one of my good friends' dad, sort of taking him away from them. So that's pretty good. Couple things. I think we need to do a strategic operating plan. That will avoid a lot of things, lead us right, and look at all the things we need as we move forward here with the growth and everything the city has to do in the future. As far as the planning board, I requested a joint board meeting months ago. I think we need it because it helps both ways. We meet, the two boards get together, we meet and get an idea what each other is doing. I requested that months ago. I think we need to do that. And we can work all these things out, not just with the issue, relationship with citizens, but the issues our board, their view of how they're approving things. And we should get a good idea and we should stand with each other as we move forward these things. Okay. The reminder I just got, Mr. McCray brought in, Mrs. Bowen brought in, this Thursday is Mrs. Ratliff Amy's our engineer's last day. As you know, we've seen all the good stuff that the Ledger put out, their version. So we do recognize that Mrs. Amy Ratliff is a quality engineer. No one can take that away from her. And I mean, she's a quality engineer. If you sit and talk engineering, you know that. The county, Commissioner Bellis is right. I walked out of here. I called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commissioners in the parking lot. I said, do you know you guys had a county attorney up here addressing our board and growth? No, we didn't know about that. We didn't know about that. The man has his own agenda. He has his own agenda. I don't think this board operates. This is a very transparent board. Our attorney, our city manager takes no action without consulting us. And if I'm wrong, one of your board members tell me. Everything that's coming down, we're consulted. Okay? So that shows you how we operate. We're different than them. We're a transparent board. We don't hide things. And now I'm gonna say something in regards to that too. I looked there, he talked about water rate raise. A raise in water rate. I think we need to look both ways. I have spoken about tankers and people taking water out of the city without recording it. We cannot depend on our fire department. So every time somebody pulls out, go out to the hydrant and make sure they're taking the right amount of water and recording it. We need to do a system of that. Before we start talking about rate increase, we need to control what we're losing and can't account for. I've mentioned that now. I mentioned that December 12, 2023, when I took office. That's when first thing I just did. We need to control that. The other thing we need to control, if we want to look at rate increase, look at the industries. They need to pay a fair share of their water rate. Look at the commercial. They need to pay a fair share of their water. Look at Stovall. We feed water to Stovall. They need to step up to the plate and pay their rate. And Mr. McCoy touched something here tonight that I wanted to touch, but I'm going to touch it. When they wanted water out of the city, they didn't want it. How many people outside of the city limits going out there by the loop, going up Salem Road, all those places are on city water? Anybody know? Just about everybody out there. And guess what? They paid zero taxes to us. So if we want a rate increase, those are the people who want to increase. I don't see how it happened in the past. They were not annexed into the city. With their own development out there, about 25, 40 homes, nice big homes, and they're on city water. And why I found that out? Because I was attending a wake of one of my friends at Wright Funeral Home, and I had a couple of citizens come and tell me, oh, Mayor, I can't wait till you get the sewer up there so we can tie into your sewer. And I said, what? They're in the county, they're not in the sewer. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, yeah, I got the water, now I'm waiting for the sewer. No, that's crazy. We can't put the burden on our citizen while other people just pay the minimum. We need to take care of our own first. We need to take care of our own. How it happened in the past, there's things that happened in the past, the good old boy system and all that stuff. We can't do that. This board is totally different. We operate different here. So with that, I would like to see the city manager, as we had a rate study, said how much we should go up to meet our needs. Look at raising those guys before we are raised. Look at those people out there. See, they're not here right now. They're gone. Look and see how you raise them before you raise us. Because when you raise us, when we raise the city, each one of us pays for it out of the pocket. Now, we need, see now the way this county is built and the way they operate, we need our own economical development. We need to start planning to come up with our own economic development. For how many years they have not brought anything into the city, industry, that we, the city, benefits on. They bring business in, and we feed them water. Now, I can see the guys that are grandfathered in, that's been here for a long time, yeah. But if a new business is coming on, we should see how we can legally say, you need to be annexed to us because you need to pay us taxes. We need to take care of ourselves. The vacant building order, it was not put out correctly in the agenda, and you hear a lot of stuff in the our famous newspaper, The Ledger. But it's not going to affect anybody coming in here. I can guarantee you that when Commissioner Velez calls his committee, you'll see a lot different and you don't understand what we're talking about. Okay? It will not affect anybody. Did I say an hour yet? Couple events coming up that we need to mention. Normally the Mayor Pro Tem get that, but we didn't have anything up here telling us what's coming up. So normally Mayor Pro Tem will cover that. We got Art and Wine Fest the 3rd of May. We have Culture Fest coming up in May. We have Juneteenth coming up in June. We have Quitting Time starting from May 1st to June 26th. We have an art exhibition coming up May 8th. And then there's an Oxford Business Meetup coming up. Mr. Toby.
May the 3rd, we got the Oxford Armory Farmers Market opening, Thursday.
Yes.
Please.
9 o'clock. Thank you for cutting in on my time. I'm about an hour and a half now. Little Caesars. When the veteran that owned that business, the veteran-owned business, when he came into town, he asked a couple of things that we cannot do for him. But look what that man is doing for this city right now. You're talking about close to 400 people out there with all the kids. I have photos I haven't posted. I don't like posting anything no more. There were so many people out there. Some of us could not attend, but it'd be nice if we had all attended. We'll show. You did not see not one county commissioner or official other than the sheriff out there to see how much you like Oxford. Okay? I think we need to look at, one, taking back our communication bill, and I said that. We need to look at taking back our economic development bill and start taking this lot to do what we need for our city. And in this job, you get to do and say things that not everybody wants to say, and nobody wants to listen to you say. This is a transparent government that we run on this board. I think the commissioners go out of the way to make sure everybody knows what they want. We have to correct issues that for years linger in this city. And most recently, we ran into a situation that we had to correct. But I'm going to allow some more time for us to get that out in the proper format. But we have had to take issues that nobody wants to address. They just kept letting it go on. Letting it go on, letting it go on. And now it's caught up on us. And this board has to take care of these issues. And I think we've been handling it. We're not expert. A lot of good portion of this board came in, and we had to get caught up real fast and learn the ropes real fast, and we've done it. Thanks to all those that are assisted us and get there. But I think we are operating right. We're pushing the things we need to push. And we look into the issues we need to look into. And in this budget, I hope we can address the issues that we need to make the city move forward and get things done. Not just for us that are here, because a lot of stuff was going to happen. It'll be 20, 25 years down the road, and we will not be here. And if you look at, I keep saying it, I try to get it printed and bring online. 1983, North Carolina State did a revitalization plan for the city. The biggest thing you notice, no power lines downtown. The biggest thing you will probably be happy as, that corridor between the courthouse and the building going towards Strong Arm, that was set up for outside dining and stuff like that, where you're seeing a lot of cities we visit as we go, that they have these little streets that they blocked off and make dining. That's what this city will be on. But nobody had a vision. I wish we had a doctor that can do a prescription for vision for some of the people in the city. Not vision to see, vision to think about the future. So they can stop running around with their low beam and running with their high beam. I'm going to cut the hour and a half short because I know some people are bored. what they want to say, but I think I've had enough for night. I can go on all night, trust me. But thank you very much. And with that, does anybody want to adjourn?
I make
Motion.
we adjourn.
Motion
I'll
to adjourn.
second it.
Is second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Don't make no difference. I don't vote.